This video is a quick follow-up to the previous one in which we took a look at SkyTrack version 1.7.9 and looked at the new mechanism to download orbital data or TLE data from SkyTrack.org. In that video I talked about how we have an upcoming issue with the old TLE format, and that is namely around the NORAD or catalog ID number, in which the TLE format restricts that to 5 digits. So that means we would have a limit of 99,999, and that value is quickly approaching. So SkyTrack now has the ability to download several different formats. The universal standard new format is the OMM XML. OMM stands for Orbital Mean Elements Message, and XML is an old familiar file format. So it works the same way. You just select which format you want, click download, and everything in SkyTrack is going to look the same. You can use any of these 3 formats right now, but eventually TLE is going to become outdated once we tip over that 100,000 mark for the NORAD IDs or catalog IDs. In addition to this universal standard, I've also included something that SkyTrack offers, and that is a CSV. It should be noted that this is not, the CSV formatting is not a universal standard. However, it does include all the OMM keywords for all the mandatory elements. It's something that SkyTrack offers. And I'll show you the reason I included it. It's around file size. So if these 3 files contain all the same satellites in them. If we look at the old TLE format, it was pretty efficient at 1.2 meg. And if we look at the new XML format, it's at least 6 times larger. And that's because the new XML format has a lot of keyword tags in it, and it's much more verbose if you want to go in and look at the file and read it. And so there's quite a bit more overhead in transmitting the same data. The CSV file, it just has a header of all the keyword names, and then the rest of the lines are all data. So it's much more efficient. So it's actually even a little smaller than the old TLE format. So you can use, again, any of these 3. SkyTrack doesn't care. Calculations are going to be just as accurate. I think my preference is going to be this one, just because the format is, the file size is a little smaller. I'll put a link in the description if you want to do more reading. SkyTrack has a nice page about the new formats and why they were necessary. The last thing I'll mention, if you go into the files and look at them, you'll notice that the formatting of the numbers are a little different than what's displayed on the screen here. That's because SkyTrack is loading the new files and reformatting the numbers the same as what the TLE had. An example here is eccentricity. It says 0574670. In the TLE format, the decimal point was assumed, so that's actually 0.057. And in the new formats, they put in the decimal point, but again, SkyTrack massages that data a little bit, so I didn't have to go and change all my calculations. So that's why some of these numbers might look a little different. It's the same value, it's just formatted differently. So I think that's everything. By having now these new formats that you can select will ensure future compatibility once we tip over that 100,000 mark. And at the same time, it'll still retain compatibility with the old TLE format.